Also, it's 2023 and you have an iPhone in your pocket. And like, I'm pretty sure the recruiters reached out to you, but at the same time, like after they reach out to you, you didn't bother to like Google it. It's just so crazy to me to go on a reality show in 2023 without any sort of strategy. Hi everyone, my name is Demetri and welcome back to DemetriTube, The Bachelorette, Night 7. Let's talk about it. As always, if you're enjoying my videos, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. I'm a growing YouTuber and the likes and subscribes really help me out. So just two quick things before I get started. First, Caitlin Bristowe and Jason Tartick broke up. Honestly, I really don't know that much about either of them, but I will say from what I've seen, their relationship seemed more like a business than it did a relationship. And even their breakup, it just looks like a whole entire press conference that just won't end. And again, I don't know very much about them, but also it seems like a lot of people are shocked mainly because I think they were together for a long time, but I don't know. If they weren't, somebody let me know below in the comments. Next, was it just me or did Xavier and Joey just seem different now that we're in Fiji for this episode? Like, Joey seemed even more chill than usual. Maybe it's because he's closer to his time zone being in Fiji than when he was on the mainland. And then Xavier just seemed more upbeat to me. Like, it seemed like he had an extra coffee this week or something. Okay, that's all I got. Let's dive into the review. Okay, so the Fantasy Suites dates start and we are in Fiji. And apparently this is one of 333 islands. And like, that is a lot of islands. I didn't know Fiji had that many. So for the date, they hang out with some traditional Fiji dancers and Charity comes out on a chariot. They learn some traditional Fiji dances and they also do a few rituals that are usually done before a Fiji wedding, and they also exchange a few words. So just a few things I want to say about this. First, Charity's dress was really cute. Lisa Kodo, if I butchered the name, I'm sorry. You were curious what I thought about this dress. So I like this dress and it's really cute, but I'm not going to give it outfit of the episode. I don't know how long you've been watching my channel, but I don't love beach fashions. So this whole time we're in Fiji, I'm probably gonna be struggling with outfits. But in your defense, this was pretty close to outfit of the episode. There was just another outfit that I thought was more fun. Also, for this dress, I love how it tied at the neck. I thought that was really cute. And it's a colorful dress, it's cute, but just not quite the one for me. And also, I really love Charity's hair during this too. Next, Xavier looked so hot in this traditional Fiji dance outfit. Like, he was giving body, yaddy, yaddy. Also, sidebar, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but both Xavier and Dotun had this. It was like a necklace, but then at the top, it had this like furry piece. I'm pretty sure those were microphones. Maybe there was just nothing to clamp on a regular microphone to, or maybe they're both just way too tall, but usually ABC is better at hiding the microphones or disguising the microphones. Next, Xavier was giving Charity some words of affirmation for them and their relationship or something. Xavier compared her to a delicate flower, and Charity 100% overanalyzed what he was saying, and she was very much confused at what he was trying to say. And honestly, Xavier is a scientist, not a poet. Please do not overthink this. In general, most men are not poets. So to me, you need to focus more on the effort than the actual words. And then we move on to the night portion of the date, and I really liked Xavier's shirt. It was a really pretty shade of green. And then when it comes to Charity, her outfit was cute, but the pants looked a little bunched up to me. If you looked at the pants, like where the crotch is, there was like a line, and to me, it just made the pants look a little more bunched. Hey everyone, sorry. So I was re-looking at this outfit. So the pants were meant to be a cover-up because she's wearing like a thong bikini, but her bikini top makes like a triangle shape, and then it goes into the pant, and then you see this line, and then it goes into the pants. And to me, it's just way too many shapes. That's what I was trying to say. Next, if you made it this far in the video, please go ahead and pound that like button for the YouTube algorithm. So to start off the night portion, Xavier says,
"My heart is 100% with you. My doubt and fear is from the boxes that cannot be checked."
The does that mean? And then later on, Xavier admits that he was unfaithful to his ex. So Charity has to step away from the table for a little bit, but when she comes back, we find out that Xavier was in a relationship for 2 years, and then he went on like vacation or something, and then he cheated on his ex multiple times in a span of 5 days. And then Charity asks, how has he changed, or how has he improved as a person? And then he says he's learned to be more introspective. And Xavier also responds, he basically says when he's in positions of temptation, he knows how to deal with it now. And if he's engaged or married, he definitely would not cheat, but says it would be difficult. Okay, so let's unpack this. First, the moment Xavier started telling this story, I was just like, well, I guess Charity should pick Joey. So y'all know I was 100% team Xavier, but now I have completely jump shipped to team Joey. So one of the biggest issues that Charity had with Xavier is that he reminds her of her ex. And not only does he remind her of her ex, Xavier was unfaithful just like her ex was. And yes, I understand that Xavier is a completely different person from Charity's ex, but at the same time, there's just so many reminders and so many similarities to her ex that I'm pretty sure Charity will not be able to trust him. And at one point, Charity even said it's exactly what her ex did. Next, we have to give some kudos to Xavier. I know a lot of y'all may not like him anymore, but Xavier gave us honesty, and yes, it was brutal honesty, but we have to applaud the fact that he's being honest with us. Now, personally, I think Xavier should have talked about this off camera or in the fantasy suite. To talk about this when the cameras are rolling at the dinner table, I don't think that was a good idea. But also at the same time, if he talked about it in the fantasy suites, we wouldn't have been able to talk about this right now on YouTube. And not only that, Xavier was giving that like Brayden level of detail, like he was just talking a little too much. But I was eating it up watching. Next, when Xavier was asked how he would change as a person, he said now he's more introspective. In general, this was just not a good enough answer for me, and it wasn't a good enough answer for Charity either. I wish Xavier had said he like turned to God and he's a better person now, or if he told Charity, I know in my heart I love you and I would never hurt you like that. If he went in that route, I think that would have been a better answer too. But just to say, oh, I'm more introspective now, it's just not a good enough answer. And then at one point, when Xavier is asked, would it be difficult? He says, hell yes. And that just was a horrible answer because he's not putting Charity at ease at all that he's able to be faithful. So Charity pulls out the fantasy suite date card and says she needs it for us. And then she also says, I need you to show up for me. And at this point, she's crying. And then we get a confessional and Charity says his answers weren't good enough and he hasn't really done or said much to show he's changed as a person. So she eliminates him and walks him out. And let me just say, this was really tragic for me because I was really rooting for Xavier. And just a couple more things I want to say about this. First, their conversation really went off the rails. Like I definitely had to rewatch this a couple times to understand what was going on. Next, it seemed very chopped and screwed from production. I'm not exactly sure like what they cut out, but a lot of it seemed very chopped and screwed, and I don't know what production was like trying to hide. Next, at one point, Xavier said he needed it or needed that, and he was talking about going to the fantasy suites, and Charity responds and says,
us in that bedroom is not going to determine whether or not you see longevity in a relationship.
First, let me just say, it's not very clear what Xavier is talking about because, again, production chopped and screwed this a little bit. A lot of people online were convinced that Xavier needed to sleep with her in order to move forward with her. But could it also not be that he just wanted time with her off camera to move forward? Like, why are we automatically assuming it had to be sex? And based on what Charity said in the confessional, she assumed it was sex too. She says,
us in the bedroom is not going to determine whether or not you see longevity in a relationship.
But like, did it not occur to Charity that maybe he just wants some time not on camera and not on the microphone? And then if you watch later on in the episode, the previews for the Men Tell All, there's going to be a Brayden versus Charity, and Brayden even says that he wants to see the real Charity, and Charity is defending herself and saying she gave her real self. I said this on Zach's season. I said this when we were dealing with Brayden, that sometimes it can feel like Charity is putting on a show. So is it not ridiculous for Xavier just to want to be with Charity one-on-one when the cameras are off? Also, later on in the episode, during her one-on-one with Joey also says that he feels like people think he's not being completely true to himself, and Charity even agrees with that. So again, it's not ridiculous for Xavier to want to be off camera with her. I don't think it was necessarily sex. In general, this is just one of those scenes where I think they were really breaking the fourth wall, because Charity is basically saying, if we're going to the fantasy suites, we're gonna have sex. But we're forgetting that going to the fantasy suites is also an opportunity to not be on camera and to not be mic'd up, and you can actually see the person for real. Next, it is 2023. A lot of men will not get engaged to a woman if they have not had sex yet. That's just how it is. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of men who don't need sex before engagement, but there's a lot of men who do. And for Xavier to want to go to the fantasy suite before an engagement is not a ridiculous request. And sorry, one more thing. If Charity did not want to go to the fantasy suites, that is fine. That is her choice. If she didn't want to go to the fantasy suites with Xavier, that is completely fine. But you must keep in mind, she wants a proposal at the end of this, and this is very much a two-way street. Xavier was making his needs very clear, and one of his needs is he needs time in the fantasy suite before giving a proposal, and I don't think that's a ridiculous request before an engagement. Now, if that's something Charity was not down for, then Charity and Xavier at the end of the day were just not a good match. And that's fine. Not everyone's meant to be together. But the internet is very much like demonizing Xavier, and I don't think he's wrong for having this need before an engagement. Like, the internet just does too much. Next, it was so smart of Charity not to take Xavier to the fantasy suites, because let's be real, y'all, this man is beautiful and he is so hot. If I was her, I wouldn't have been able to just take him to the fantasy suite and just talk. And last thing before we move on, so since they didn't go to the fantasy suites, Xavier was automatically eliminated. So could you not just skip the fantasy suite but still keep Xavier in the running? Because I kind of wish they had more time to think about this. And then the next morning, Charity wakes up in the fantasy suite alone, and I don't know why it's so funny to watch a contestant wake up in the fantasy suite alone. Like, I was definitely laughing during this part. I don't know why, it's just funny. Okay, the next fantasy suite date is with Joey, and for the date, they take ATVs, but halfway through the date, one of the ATVs breaks down, and then they go to a waterfall. And yep, it's that time outfit of the episode. For this week's outfit of the episode, I'm giving it to Charity during her one-on-one with Joey. Charity is wearing a pink bikini top with a white capri pant and a scarf turned headband. And in general, this was just such a fun outfit. I don't know, it looks a little 70s, but in general, this outfit was just so much fun. And again, I'm not a huge fan of the beach fashion, so I didn't really love any of the outfits this episode. So that's why I gave this one outfit. And other than that, nothing really happened during the date. Honestly, as I was watching, I was like, wow, now that Xavier's gone, what's the point of even watching? After that, we move on to the night portion, and Charity and Joey have a one-on-one, and Joey says,
there is a part of me that has belief that sometimes people fall in love with the idea of me, and that person that is that great guy, and then they like get to like know me a little bit better. They maybe don't think it's like who I truthfully am anymore, and they start to question.
So I totally understand what Joey meant in this, but I thought it came off a little conceited. And then Charity relates to him and agrees and says she's often a people pleaser as well. After that, Joey says he's falling in love with Charity, and then they head off to the fantasy suites. And at one point, Charity says, Joey is the definition of the type of person I prayed for. So then after that, we see Joey and Charity at the morning after, and just a few things I want to say about this. First, I don't think Joey is a morning person. He just was not giving us anything the next morning. Next, Charity's pajamas were cute. And then finally, do I think Charity and Joey smashed? No, to me, it just seems like they held each other and just talked all night. Now we're moving on to the fantasy suite with Dotun, and for the date, they go jet skiing, and we get some really cool shots of Fiji at this point. Fiji looks so pretty. And then after the jet skiing, Dotun and Charity are having a one-on-one, and Dotun says he doesn't watch the show and didn't know how it ends, and says when it comes to the engagement, he's okay with that. Okay, so let's just unpack this. So Don's explanation just did not sound genuine to me. And keep in mind, Dotun brought this up. So like, was he trying to be smooth or show that he didn't take this process too seriously? In general, him bringing this up and just telling this story, it was all just way too smug for me. Also, it's 2023 and you have an iPhone in your pocket. And like, I'm pretty sure the recruiters reached out to you, but at the same time, like after they reach out to you, you didn't bother to like Google it. It's just so crazy to me to go on a reality show in 2023 without any sort of strategy. And then after that, we move on to the night portion, and I really like Charity's dress. It was very fun and very cute. And then Dotun and Charity really don't say anything. Dotun says he has no fears, but keep in mind, they're still in like a bubble environment. And then they both tell each other they love one another, and then they go to the fantasy suites, and we get a little bit of the next morning, and I do think they smashed. But in general, when it comes to these fantasy suites, when it comes to both Joey and Dotun, I'm just not seeing the passion. So then after that, Aaron comes to Fiji to try to win back Charity's heart, and we got to see clips of Aaron throughout the episode. Aaron tells Charity he feels like he could have gave more, and he also relies on the fact that Charity says that she wasn't completely sure about the decision during his elimination. And Charity also admits that she was falling in love with him, and she thought about their relationship every day since it ended. And just two things I want to say about this. I really hope she does not take Aaron back, and the fact that him coming back confused her even further, but she's still considering it. I'm just so over it. Next, I don't know if production staged this or if this was truly Aaron, but the flight to Fiji is a very long flight. Like if I was Aaron, I would not even agree to do this unless they were down to keep me in Fiji for at least a week. It's legit. From LA, it is a 10-hour flight to Fiji, and then on top of that, you're in a completely different time zone, so that's going to mess you up. So if I was Aaron, I would not have agreed to this unless production was down to give me a free vacay for a few more days. But also, I may be a little biased. I just went to California, which was a long flight, and I swear that messed up my sleep cycle for like a week. So maybe other people are better at bouncing back than me. And that's all I got. That is the end of the review and the end of the episode. If you enjoyed this review, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.